gonna lie. I've been holding a lot of shit in lately. Man, I just had like a 3.5 hour cry.
What do I owe the? What do I owe the pleasure? What do I owe the pleasure? Last time we speak together, she washed your car for you. You washed your car with the shame and the hustle. When you got there getting into that wash, and you know that chip gonna be good like y'all better start buying this slippery soap, man. What's going on here?
The streets have been buzzing, but no one saw this coming. Minus 50 Cent just dropped some tapes that have Rick Ross on the edge, and trust me, this isn't your typical hip-hop beef anymore. We've got the full story on how these leaked tapes involving Ross and Diddy hit the internet. And once you hear what's on them, you'll understand why Ross is ready to tear the whole industry apart. The way 50 pulled this off, pure legendary chaos.
Bruh, just like New York, just like Mount Vernon, New York City, Mount Vernon, and Miami, all that is the same, bruh. Nobody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to touch what he touched, be where he at. You understand? It's crazy, bro, how his fall from grace, which was never from grace. It's just like the devil just kicked him out of hell. Because he was never in nothing graceful or did anything graceful. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you say about, okay, he did the music, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, you know, a few albums, a few people, you know, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, you know, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bro, those people who was caught at Diddy's party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house.
Virgo, let me tell you, minus 50 Cent has been playing the longest game in hip-hop history with this one. Back in 2009, when Ross first came at him with that Officer Ricky mess, everyone thought it was just another rap beef. But 50? He was thinking 10 steps ahead. While Ross was out here flexing his Wingstop money and luxury cars, 50 was just watching, waiting, and collecting receipts. He wasn't entertaining the petty jabs, he was plotting. And when the time was right, he executed the takedown like a mastermind. Ross was all over social media hyping up his new Checkers franchise, feeling untouchable in the industry. That's when 50 knew it was time to strike. If you were paying attention, you could see the setup. First, he posted cryptic messages about how some people ain't who they pretend to be. Then came the eerie tick, tick, tick. Time's running out post. Nobody knew it was coming, but the streets were watching. Then, boom. On a random Tuesday afternoon when everyone was just minding their business, 50 dropped that first tape. No warning, no hype, no caption, just straight destruction. And within minutes, the whole industry was in flames.
But he had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you know you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, no, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell them. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. You know you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean. It's what it is.
The reactions were instant and chaotic. Industry executives were calling emergency meetings, PR teams were scrambling to control the damage, and anyone who had ever worked with Ross or Diddy was suddenly ghost. This wasn't your typical rap beef with diss tracks and leaked DMs. This was something else entirely. The level of calculation behind 50's move was insane. He had been watching, waiting, and biding his time for years, just to strike when Ross was at his peak and bring him crashing down. What made it even wilder? Ross didn't even see it coming. Word is, he was in the middle of a business meeting when his phone started blowing up. His team was trying to reach him, people were flooding his inbox with the video link, and at first he thought it was just another one of 50's petty jokes. But the moment he actually saw what 50 had leaked, everything changed. And here's the real kicker. If you thought that first tape was bad, the streets are saying 50 has plenty more where that came from. He's been sitting on this dirt for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to drop it. The way he played this, it's like he wrote a full-blown revenge movie and cast Ross as the lead without him even knowing it. But that first tape, just the opening scene. Now everyone is asking the same question. What else does 50 have in his vault? Because if he waited 14 years to drop this bomb, there's no telling what other footage he's been keeping locked away.
Doesn't mean I'm confirming or I'm 100% factual, but it's somebody in this story of things that seems more reliable than others, Race, is what I'll say, just to protect my sources. But this source informed me of who these A-list celebrities are on these tapes that are being allegedly auctioned off online and through the networks. And it's put me in a little bit of a bind because I like to be fully transparent with the audience. I want to say things, but I also realize from what I'm told, because again, I haven't seen them directly yet. I haven't. And I don't know if I want to. Race, I want your advice on that too. But the problem I have is just like, typically I want to report these things, but I got to be careful legally, ethically, morally as to what we report on here. Because as Ariel, the lawyer here, did admit, and I can attest based on the information I got from a separate, reliable source, people in these videos don't know they're being videotaped. That's a big issue, Race, right? Let's start out right there. If there are people on these tapes that don't know that they were being filmed, is that okay to talk about and to share?
I have a big problem with that, as do you, Andy, and you tend to be an ethical guy and you're taking the high ground here. Notwithstanding the fact that you may have some significant information and reliable information, but the reality is that, look, I mean, if people were recorded non-consensually and you are the one to identify them, I think that's a problem, right? And I think anytime anyone has content, right, this is not an email, this is not a text message, this is video. And there's specific statutes without using specific language I don't want to get into, but everybody knows what we're talking about here.
It's Diddy with this person, I'll say that. It's Diddy with this person. Actually, yes.
Yeah, and see, the problem is, again, like non-consensually recorded, you've got a victim here who may not want to be publicly identified, That's the problem. That's the problem. And they have a right to proceed if they want to, whether it's criminally or civilly, without being identified, because we know what's going to happen. As soon as they identify themselves, there's going to be a bunch of people that come out of the woodwork who are going to unequivocally harass them and claim that didn't happen, and they're making stuff up. And there's the victims that we want to protect here, and that's significant.
Well, it's interesting because here's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know a lot of you are like, Andy, just say it. No, I'm not going to say them, but I wanted to have this conversation as to why we're not saying it and why I think others haven't yet said it, Reese, because, again, legally, ethically, morally, it's just not right. Now, there's an argument I've had with people who are like, well, they knew what they were doing with Diddy. Like, these were consensual acts. Like, they knew, and he filmed other times, so I don't know what the big deal is. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out, is what I keep hearing from other reliable sources. It may come out, but it's not gonna come out via me. That's just to warn you all, because I don't think it's wise for us to put out something like you just confirmed it without the consent of the other person in the video. Because again, from what I'm gathering based on some of these tapes, and again, we're still learning more, and I haven't seen them with my own eyes.
Remember all those times Ross swore up and down that he never did business with certain people? Well, these tapes just blew that story wide open. Because, baby, the receipts don't lie. 50 Cent caught Ross in 4K doing exactly what he spent years denying, and the footage is nothing short of explosive. What 50 dropped isn't just harmless business meetings, it's Ross at private parties, looking real comfortable with people he claimed he never even met. But the real bombshell? There's audio, and in it, Ross is straight up bragging about secret deals he and Diddy set up with up-and-coming artists, deals he's been publicly denying for years. The way he talks about it so casually has people convinced this wasn't some one-time thing. Industry insiders who've seen the footage are saying it's the kind of material that could get someone blackballed from the music business for good. But what's really shaking people up is how these tapes connect back to all those old rumors about Ross's early days in the industry. You know, the stories he's spent years shutting down about how he really got his start. Well, these videos are painting a completely different picture. Now, the whole industry is watching as Ross scrambles to control the damage, but with 50 still holding on to more tapes, the question remains, what else is waiting to be exposed?
Isn't it weird that the government was so interested in Diddy's baby oil that they took 1,000 bottles away from his house? If the government took 1,000 bottles of baby oil and somebody had things what appeared to be baby oil, and then you have to listen to the prosecutor. He said that they seized 1,000 bottles what allegedly to be baby oil. Allegedly to be baby oil. So that's telling people that it wasn't baby oil. And people think that that was baby oil, they out their mind. I don't believe it was baby oil. Yo, bro, when they went up in there, they knew what they was gonna find. They knew what was ever in that baby oil or that those bottles that appeared to be baby oil, they knew about that at first. You gotta realize 9 times out of 10, that individual that got caught at the airport, that was supposed to be their carrier, told them what they was doing and what they had. I wouldn't put it past that he told them everything. So when they went up in there, they knew they had to take whatever was out there, and that thing that appeared to be baby oil, they took that. They got to test every last one of them. Let's see how much, let's see how many of those come back to be baby oil. Bro, listen to me. Costco don't sell that much baby oil. Where you know sell that much baby oil?
Yeah, I don't know any store that sell that much baby oil. I know Costco, they came out and said that they don't even sell baby oil.
My sentiments exactly.
But you personally, right, what do you believe was in the baby oil?
If you ever seen a massage parlor being raided and they walking out the people, do they take the massage oil with them when they go? No, they just walk out the people who are being arrested.
The reactions inside the industry have been absolutely wild. One executive, who chose to stay anonymous to protect their position, described watching these tapes as seeing someone's whole career flash before their eyes. Another insider close to Ross's label admitted they had to call emergency meetings because nobody knows just how many more bombs 50 might be sitting on. This isn't your typical rap beef where someone leaks old DMs or drops a diss track. These tapes have Ross and Diddy looking real suspicious, especially with all the other allegations swirling around lately. And the timing couldn't be worse. Just as Ross is expanding his business empire and Diddy is caught up in his own legal drama, these tapes hit the internet like a wrecking ball. What's got Ross really nervous isn't just the industry chatter, it's the potential impact on everything he's built. We're talking Wingstop franchises, that new Checkers deal, and all his brand partnerships. When corporate sponsors see their name attached to controversy, they start pulling out fast. But the real nightmare for Ross, knowing 50 is sitting on even more footage. Every time Ross tries to deny or downplay the situation, 50 fires back with another clip that makes things look even worse. It's almost like 50 had cameras on Ross for years, just waiting for the right moment to start dropping bombs. And when word finally got back to Ross about what was actually in those tapes, that's when things went from bad to worse. Because it's one thing to hear rumors, it's another thing entirely to know there's hard video evidence exposing everything you've been trying to keep quiet. And Ross's reaction? Let's just say it only added fuel to the fire.
If you ever seen a person getting arrested and the people being arrested in those brothel houses, do they take out the stuff in the brothel houses? No, they don't. They take the individuals who are being arrested out the brothel houses. For them to take 1,000 bottles of baby oil, it's like that they did not leave one. They left people there, but they ain't leave not one bottle. Nobody needed no baby oil. So my whole thing about it is that there was something in that other than baby oil. That's why they took all the bottles. And 9 times out of 10, if I would give it a wild guess, it was, and like some of the people told me, it was probably that GHB.
What's that?
I think it's gamma hydrox. I looked it up, bro. Let me see if I can find it. I know this is just showing everything like that, but oh no. Let me. Yo, somebody tap dance or sing or do something, you know what I'm saying, while I'm doing this. Oh, here it go right here. It's gamma hydroxy butyric. What is its effect on the body? It's a euphoria, drowsiness, decreased anxiety, and memory impairment. It works on the nervous system and gives you this feeling of euphoria. So they take that and rub it on it, and you forget who you are, what you're doing. It can also give you memory loss, drowsiness, and that's under the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration.gov.
When the notifications started blowing up everyone's phones at 2 a.m., nobody was ready for what they saw. Ross wasn't just mad. He was going full scorched earth. Veteran PR experts were frantically messaging each other, warning that someone needed to stop him before he destroyed everything. His first response hit Instagram like a bomb, a 15-minute rant packed with threats and accusations that sent his own team into panic mode. He wasn't even trying to deny what was in the tapes anymore. Instead, he went straight to threatening 50's life. The way he was pacing back and forth, looking like he hadn't slept in days, had people seriously questioning if he'd finally snapped for real. Then things spiraled even further. First, it was the voice messages. He started sending them to anyone who had shared the video, threatening lawsuits, making wild accusations, and bringing up old dirt that was never supposed to see the light of day. His team scrambled to do damage control, but Ross wasn't hearing any of it. He jumped on Instagram live at 3 a.m., calling out names, exposing industry secrets, and making the kind of threats that you can't take back. But the situation took a dangerous turn when Ross started dropping addresses, not just 50s known spots, but places connected to his family. That's when even his closest allies began backing away. His PR team rushed to put out statements trying to contain the damage, but every time they did, Ross would hop back online and undo all their work in minutes. Even his biggest business partners were calling, begging him to log off before he burned every bridge he had ever built.
Activities with other, A-listers having activities together is what this is. And again, that's a potentially outing of somebody as well. You know what I mean? There's so many things here that happen in releasing of this private consensual moment that while salaciously everybody wants to know, and people are messaging me all the time, Andy, who's what? And it's like, I'm not gonna say, because there seem to be way too many things that these people in the tapes, whether consensual, whether they, whatever, didn't agree to put out there. And I would think that's a legal issue too for anybody who puts these out first, no?
Yeah, you nailed it. You can't without the consent of the victim. That's the problem. Somebody thinks that somebody has no idea, right? You said, well, didn't they know they're being recorded? No. I mean, in these situations, the assumption is they did not know. And that's what we believe right now, is the victims did not know that they were being recorded. If the victim comes out and says, okay, yes, I knew I was recorded, and a statement is provided, that's a different story. But of course, you don't know that. So you, Andy, probably can't be the one to break that ice and be like, well, this is what I heard and this is what I know, and so I'm going to say it. And there's all kinds of hairy legal issues on that, right? With privacy and intrusion on seclusion is what we call it. It's a privacy violation. There could be defamation implications. There could be criminal implications. So you're doing the right thing by treading carefully. And I think more people should do this rather than get into speculation. Now, if you see the videos, even still, right? If somebody takes...
Not to interrupt, but that's the question. Like, am I allowed to see these videos? Like, if I were to ask this source, show me the videos, do I put myself in worse legal jeopardy?
That's another distinct legal issue, right? It's like you're watching something that someone didn't know they were being recorded of doing, right? And so it's dicey. It's dicey. Now, it would be different if you were an attorney and somebody's coming to you for purposes of defense or prosecution of a claim, a civil claim, or the filing, of some action to recover damages. That's a little different. But for purposes of, hey, look what I got, juicy gossip, and there are reporting outlets that I won't mention that will do stuff like this. I don't know that it's the smartest thing to do. I don't know that it's the careful thing to do. That's for sure. Or it's the ethical or moral thing to do.
Yeah, it is exactly. I'm not a lawyer, but maybe this source will show you, and then you can verify what we know. But here's the other problem. Even if we verify what we know, like as I watched what Ariel, the lawyer, got these tapes, and even again, I don't want to get into the details, any remote details that could help explain or allude to even more of theories that are out there, or, debunk or confirm. But I will say, hearing what I heard, which again isn't confirmation, but hearing what I heard, it makes me dislike what Ariel's doing even more, because I think there are going to be people out there, if this information does get out in some way, that are going to deny that these people are victims, that they're going to try to say, oh no, they're just consensually and they were hiding this affair and yada, yada, yada. And I don't see it that way personally. I mean, and granted, I haven't seen or know, like this isn't somebody involved from what I've gathered in these tapes of them, doing it to others in a way, criminally, like we've heard in some of these suits. This is just, it almost feels like, again, if it's real, like blackmail material that Diddy keeps to sort of hold over these people's heads. And to me, that's awful to the people in it, whether they agreed or knew or whatever. It still just feels like that's no one's freaking business. And maybe they were doing it for reasons we don't know. Just because we saw the tape doesn't mean they weren't feeling pressured in other ways, right? So it's a heavy and complicated thing, but it's not a hard decision to say, I can't run with trying to even allude to who these people are.
The desperate moves started coming fast. Ross's team scrambled to get the tapes taken down with copyright claims, but it was too late. -50 had already spread them everywhere. Then Ross resorted to throwing money around, offering millions to anyone who could help him track down who leaked the footage. The numbers he was tossing out had people's eyes popping. By sunrise, Ross had already violated about 6 different Instagram policies and had his account restricted 3 times. But instead of cooling off, he just kept making new burner accounts, each post getting more reckless than the last. His lawyers were calling nonstop, his business partners were threatening to pull out of deals, and still, Ross wouldn't stop. What really sealed his downfall was when he started dragging other artists into the mess. He exposed who had lost money, who didn't pay for verses, who had been faking their streaming numbers, and even revealed secret business deals that were never meant to go public. It was like watching someone set fire to their own house just to burn down the whole neighborhood. That's when the industry started splitting into teams. Some people who had been waiting years for Ross to get exposed jumped in with 50 and started adding their own stories. Others tried to defend Ross, claiming 50 had gone too far. But with the way Ross was acting, threatening families and exposing everyone's secrets, he was making it real hard for anyone to stand by him. And when the sides were finally drawn, the alliances that formed shocked everyone.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, let's let this play out in the legal realm. If you ever get Ariel on your show, I'd love to talk with her and have this conversation if she's willing to do it publicly, because I still don't understand what her role is in all this, you know, and I've heard at times broker, I've heard at times advocate for victim, and I don't want to judge what she's doing or not doing. I'd love to just have a conversation about it because I personally don't get it, right? This is a very sensitive thing. Again, if this gets turned over to the feds and the feds bring claims and this is outed, that's a totally different story. But the feds do what they're going to do, like what we talked about months ago on your show, right? When this first went down, we knew when hard drives were seized and things happened that, look, they're going to build a case. They're going to build a case that they think they can prosecute. It's not for us to speculate what's there or what's not, but to say, you know, you have tangible evidence of something on camera that you've seen and that it's being sold in order to protect someone.
To avoid being publicly named, which is what even the lawyers are now admitting. It all feels really dirty and shady, man.
The only person that makes sense that could buy this is the victim, right? If the victim says, I don't want this to come out. Yes, it was consensual, but I don't want it to come out. I didn't know I was being recorded. Give it to that person.
Right, I guess, but you're right, because then they can actually own it. Maybe there is a version of this, that's what Ariel's trying to allude to. You'll own it, and no other network's going to be able to buy it or show it if you own it and haven't given permission. I guess, is that maybe part of what they're trying to do here, in that the celebrity who buys it can actually then control it just from a clearance standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, look, it still raises some legal concerns, right? Because let me say it this way. If this was a transaction, if this is a business transaction wherein the victim is then acquiring the exclusive rights to this tape or tapes, and that the person who recorded it is avowing that they will not use it, I don't know where that leaves P. Diddy and the feds, right? But they have an independent right to bring this stuff to light if it gets prosecuted. But my point is, if you're transferring legal rights of this consensual or non-consensually recorded tape to the victim, I think that's a better position to be in. But then the question is this person even in a position to be able to buy the tape, right? Are they a high-level celebrity? Like, who are they? We can assume that they're celebrities with millions and millions of dollars to expend on something like this. Just raises a lot of questions, right?